Okay. Hi, Virginia. How are you?
Hey, Douglas, I'm fine. Yourself?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Nice to have you with us.
It's a great honor to be here. I'm so excited.
My producer has told me that you are the first guest from Switzerland on our show. We've had people from all over the world, but you are the first one from Switzerland, so congratulations.
Well, thank you. That's pretty cool, actually.
So, on your bio, it says that you live near Zurich. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have a small farm spread where we live. My family and I live with our horses and a dog and four cats.
Oh, you have horses? Oh, wonderful. That's great. Do you breed them or do you just ride them for pleasure or
I actually just ride them for pleasure. I did breed my old mare and I do have her offspring, and he's being ridden now, and she's being old. She's pretty old. She's already 26 years old. In my earlier couple of years ago, I was still working as a horse trainer and a riding teacher. So that's why, yeah, where the horses come from. But I keep them because I mean, they're family that
Oh,
are going to
absolutely.
stay with
Yeah.
me.
I used to have a horse many years ago, and
Oh, really?
yeah, I miss him. He was a nice old horse, and we finally had to put him down because he just got old and got sick, and I haven't got one back since. So I sort of miss that. But I suspect that you ride English style there, correct?
Yes, we usually do, and that's what I actually also thought. But I do have some experience in Western riding as well, and I think it's, well, in my opinion, good riding is good riding. So if somebody knows how to handle a horse well, then he will do fine in either saddle.
Well, I agree with you. For me personally, I've tried both because there were a lot of people at the stable that rode English. And the one thing about the English horses was that they were bigger than the American standard horse. They were a good deal bigger, like a whole,
That's true.
yeah, like a whole
Um,
head.
I actually don't like the big ones. My four are pretty much quarter horse sized. Um, they're a light cart breed, Swiss free mountain horses. So I can totally understand you and relate if you say the English horses are so tall.
Oh, it was incredible. And I tried it one time and I didn't like being so high up. And then the English saddles and the way that you have the stirrups, your knees are much higher up than on a Western saddle. On a Western saddle, your legs are almost straight when you ride.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also more leather for your seat. So it's much more comfortable, a Western saddle, actually.
Yes, I've got a large back seat, so I needed the extra saddle. That's for sure. Okay, so you're also a writer, and you've got a book series called Rocky Mountain Series. How many books are in this series?
Well, are you asking me about the German one or the English translations? Because in the German one, there are already 31 books out. And if everything goes well, then the Rocky Mountain Romances, how they're called in English, will be having 31 books in the series
Oh, I
at
see.
least.
So the series has been already released in German,
Yes,
and
very
now you're
successfully.
translating them to English and releasing them
Yes.
one at a time, I assume.
Yes, the first one came out last month in November, and tomorrow actually, the second one, Rocky Mountain Star, will be out, and I can't wait.
Okay, so the one that is out now that we're talking about is Rocky Mountain Yoga.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and that's the
Correct.
first book in the series.
Yes.
Okay, 31. How long did it take you to write the 31?
I published the first one in the series in 2014. So, yeah, 8 years.
Have you been to the Rocky Mountains?
Yeah, actually, I've spent 1 year as an exchange student in Colorado, and that's where my inspiration comes from. And it was a very formative year for me, meeting new people, having a host family, and getting to know a whole new culture. It was a really great experience, and I was looking for a spot that I knew well and could talk about or write about in my books, and that's why I chose the Rocky Mountains in Colorado.
Did that area remind you of Switzerland at all, or is it different?
Well, there are mountains in both countries, but since the Rocky Mountains are much older, they're equally high, but more flattened from time and water and rain and yeah, the whole erosion has taken much more of the edges off. So the great thing, or what I loved about the Rockies, is while they were, you have the mountains, but you also have those plateaus, those wide open spaces up in 8,000, 10,000 feet. And that's something you don't have actually in Switzerland. It's all, everything is so jagged edges and deep valleys, and it feels harsher. The Rocky Mountains are, I mean, they're powerful and majestic, but they're also softer.
And Switzerland is a small country. You don't have the ability to drive for hours and hours and stay in the. You'd be somewhere else. You'd be in France, or you'd be
Yes, totally.
in Italy, or
You kind of fall over and are in a different country.
Yeah, exactly. You said that you were there as an exchange student in Colorado. Did you start writing the books at that time, or did you come back to Switzerland and then start writing?
I started writing much later because as an exchange student, I was a teenager. I was 17, 18 years old, and I'm still young, but not that young. I started 10 years ago with writing, actually.
Okay, what was it that inspired you to start writing, aside from the Rocky Mountains? But was there anything else
I did write a couple of books before the Rocky Mountain series, actually, and I'm an avid reader. Since I'm 4, I read everything I can get my hands on. If there are letters, I will read them. It doesn't matter if it's a book or a shopping list or I don't know. So I always loved reading. I always loved writing as well. Even in school, I wrote all the papers and got good grades and started writing for magazines, horse magazines, of course. And later, I would have liked to pursue a career as a writer, but everybody just told me, well, you won't earn any money. You will be this hungry artist, starving artist. And I didn't want that, obviously, because I had a horse to take care of. And yeah. And then there was a time where I was just freshly separated from my husband and moved back in with my mom, and I didn't have any money at all. But I still had this reading addiction, and this was in the time before ebooks. That meant I had to actually buy 3 to 4 print books a week to keep my reading habit nurtured. So since I didn't have the money to do that, and the library near us was also kind of out of new books for me to read, I decided to actually take this time. I would read usually and write myself, and that's what I did. So I started my writing career. So
that's an interesting story. That you ran out of books to read, so you started writing your own. I think that's great.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us a little bit about the series. We just have a few minutes left, but just give us a kind of an overview of what this whole series is about.
The whole series takes place in a fictional small town in Colorado, up in the Rocky Mountains, and every book features a new couple. Those are romances, of course, but what is actually equally important in those stories is the whole community in the small town, and they don't all like each other, they don't even all get along each other, but they do stand by each other if something happens. And I think this sense of community and being there for each other if the going gets tough is something that's really important to me. And then there are, of course, our furry friends. There are many pets. Almost everybody has some kind of pet, be that a goat, a cat, or a horse. Um, you also have always the thing that the heroine will kind of find her way in life. And that's another thing that's really close to my heart. And I think it's also very much the American way, the you can do it mentality, that if you do find the trust in yourself and the self-confidence, you can really succeed and do things on your own or be self-employed. And that's something that I personally miss sometimes in Europe or Switzerland. And you will find all those values woven into those stories, and there's a bit of romance, there's a bit of suspense, and there's a lot of humor. I think nowadays, especially, everybody of us can use a bit of lightness, a bit of humor in the evenings on the couch, a cup of tea in one hand and the book in the other.
Well, that sounds like a nice evening. Yeah, I think we all definitely could use some more humor. So the whole series is set in the United States, and the characters are all Americans?
I have to think. I do think they're all American, but I didn't pay much. It wasn't my focus.
Okay. Is there one main character or multiple characters, main
There
characters?
are multiple characters. Besides the new couple, there are always characters you already know from the books. There are two sisters. They have a diner, and everybody goes to the diner to eat. And there are a couple of other people you always get to meet again, and you also meet the people from the past books again and see how they got on with their lives. So it's kind of meeting your friends again if you pick up a new book of the series. And my German readers often tell me it's like a mini vacation from the comfort of their own home, just taking a breather and meeting those friends, and yeah, kind of like a bookish family.
Okay. Are you translating the books yourself, or are you having somebody do that for you?
I have very great people to do that for me.
Okay.
My English is fine for talking to people, and I read only in English, actually, but I would never dare to actually translate them to English. Maybe the other way around it would work from English to German, but not.
But not the other
Yeah,
way. Okay.
no.
Well, Virginia, we got to wind this down. We are out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you have a website you want to give out?
Oh, yes, of course. That's virginiafox.com. And if you go to the menu on mobile, there's on the bottom the choice to choose English as a language.
Oh, okay. So the website is in English and in German?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So,
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you, and best of luck with the book launch in English. I hope it does well.
yeah, me as well. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to talking to you.